Welcome to The Shift Show with Adriana Bucci. Join me every week to learn all about narcissistic abuse recovery, healing from physical and emotional pain after the abuse, and everything else to do with toxic people and how they affect your physical, emotional, and mental health. And no, you are not the crazy one. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. Let's get right to it. Hello, welcome back to The Shift Show. I do apologize. I've taken several weeks off from making new episodes. You know, life just kind of gets in the way, but I have a whole bunch of new Dear Adriana column episodes coming out right now and in the very near future. So let's just kind of dive right into it. So our next question is from Roxy, and Roxy says, Dear Adriana, my narc mom breadcrumbed me, and long story short, she bought a house and I rent from her. Oh no, I am so sorry that is the situation. Like that is such a trap for adult children of narcissists. But let's continue Roxy's question. She does not live here. I am in the process of leaving. Okay, that's good. But in the meantime, all of my belongings have to be kept in the spare room, her demand. She goes into that spare room and goes through my belongings. No idea what she is looking for, but she has no normal, logical reason to be in there. I have said, what are you doing before? And she basically says it's her house and she can do what she wants, but I'm paying money to be here. How should I approach her next time, or do I just let it go and GTFO out of here? Thank you. P.S. I love your mother impersonations. They are bloody fantastic. Haha. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you enjoy my day in the life of a narcissistic mother videos. If you have no idea what that is, check out my Instagram or TikTok pages. They are there, and they're pretty good if I do say so myself. So this is a terrible situation to be in. So I'm really glad, Roxy, that you are in the process of leaving. But obviously she's narking. She's absolutely narking. And her whole motive for even having you rent from her is to have power and control over you. And this is why she is demanding that you put all of your belongings in the spare room, and she gets to rummage through your stuff to kind of, see what you're up to. And it is ridiculous. There is nothing normal or logical about this. So the main thing to understand about narcissistic mothers and narcissists in general is that their main goal in life is supply, right? And that's power and control over other people. What is supply? This is your emotional reaction, your time, your energy, your resources, you doing what they want you to do and all that kind of stuff. And she has created that power and control by purchasing a house and having you rent from her. So my first question would really be like, is there any sort of legal contract in place that you are the tenant and she is the landlord? Because there are tenants' rights. And I mean, if you want to, you could kind of go through the legal route on dealing with that. But of course, that could be a disaster in itself. And if you are, close to be leaving, might not be worth it. But regardless, if you're allowed to change the locks, I would explore seeing if you can legally do that, because it is ridiculous that she's just kind of going to her house and rummaging and all that kind of stuff, and you are paying money to be there. So I would first and foremost encourage you to kind of look into your landlord and tenant laws and see, review the contract that you have with your mom if there is a contract. If there isn't, there might be limitations on what you can kind of do in this situation. So yeah, I would, in terms of approaching her, she's doing this so that you do approach her and that you do have a conversation with her and it turns into a whole shitstorm, right? And this is really, this can even kind of fall into the category of financial abuse as well, because you're paying her money and she's profiting off of that. And she's also using that as a way to manipulate you by going through your things and doing whatever she wants. So it's really gonna, if you do approach her and try to set a boundary with her, that opens the door for more shit. And this actually, I am doing a free training on the 3 mistakes to avoid when you're setting a boundary with a narcissist. So the link for that is going to be in the description of this podcast episode if anybody is interested. It's happening next week live. If you can't make it live, there is a replay, but you still have to register for it. So I would encourage you to sign up for that, especially you, Roxy, and anybody else who is listening who has any trouble setting boundaries with a narcissist. So the thing is, when you tell a narcissist, like, hey, you're doing this, it's bothering me, can you please stop doing this? You've given them a war plan, and you are basically telling them exactly what to continue doing in order to continue, for them to continue getting a reaction out of you, which is supply. So you have to really wrap your head around the fact that her goal here is to get that reaction from you. So it's, it's just so ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. Obviously, you're an adult at this point and living on your own and renting a place. And so it's so great that you're looking for something else. Hopefully you have found something else and you'll be moving in the very near future and not rent from her ever again, because we obviously know how that's going to go. And, it just, if there's things that you don't want her to see or go through, I would encourage you to not put those in the spare bedroom. Maybe consider getting something that has like a lock on it or anything like that. Make sure there's no important documents or personal information that you don't want her to be aware of that she could go through. And, just to protect yourself from that. If, you could even potentially put a lock on the spare room as well, but that's going to, she's gonna have a reaction, of course, right? So she's gonna narc. You have to expect the expected, and she's really just doing this to have control over you. So, I mean, if there is no legal route for you to take at this time, or if you've determined that it's not worth doing that, completely understandable. I would just sort of let it go and GTFO as soon as possible and, not make that mistake again, and consider having some very, very big boundaries with her, whether that's full no contact, if that's possible for you, or at least low emotionally detached contact. And just really understanding that she's doing this to have power and control over you. And she's put herself into like a position of power as like your landlord in order to go through your shit. So it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And it's just never a good idea to rent from a narcissistic parent, like a normal, healthy parent who's doing a favor for their adult child, helping them get on their feet. They're not going to be so intrusive like this. Whereas a narcissistic parent, this is what they do to have control over their children. And it's insane. It's ridiculous. It's not okay. So your best bet, honestly, would be get the fuck out as soon as humanly possible and never look back. Like, do not ever let her manipulate you into renting from her again or any sort of situation like that. And it's such an invasion of your privacy and of your personal living space, right? And this is the type of stuff that narcissists like to prey on. So I hope this has been helpful, and I hope to see you in my training next week. And anybody else who is listening to this, who's interested in learning more about the mistakes to avoid when setting a boundary with a narcissist, we're going to go a lot deeper into all the things, especially, the right way to approach them about a boundary, which is not going to be what conventional advice tells you, because you have to keep in mind, you're not dealing with a normal, healthy person. You're dealing with somebody who's on a mission to destroy your life, gain power and control over you, and get supply from you at the cost of your mental and emotional health, which is never cool. And it's really, the boundaries are with your actions, not your words. So the best action you can take is getting out of there and living your life on your own terms without any of her input or control over anything. And of course, just make sure you have all of your important documents with you somewhere safe so she can't kind of, keep those against you. I mean, that's obviously illegal in a lot of places, but narcissistic parents will kind of, they'll hang on to your passport or your birth certificate or something like that just to kind of get you to interact with them, and that's not okay. So yeah, I hope this is helpful, and I hope to see you in the boundaries training. Stay tuned for the next episode, which will be a question from, let me just check, an anonymous question, and it's about some struggles with being low and no contact with narcissistic parents. All right, see you in the next episode.